Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us for ICONversations. The ICON program is designed to celebrate our company's top producers. These agents have gone far above capping status and are now earning back their paid company dollar with various stock grants, which are earned by reaching exceptional milestones. Today from Missouri, we have Rachel Countryman. From Pennsylvania, we have Ryan Teesey. All the way from Ontario, Canada, we have Brandon Town. From California, we have Taylor Zapata. And from Texas, we have our amazing moderator, Brian White. Brian, take it away.
Thanks, Brian. I'm pretty pumped about today. So not only do we have people from East, West, and Central Coast, we've got Brandon from Canada. And as I heard from somebody in the audience, we have somebody from Mars. As you guys well know, or maybe you don't know, today is the day that the planets align. So if you go out tonight, you should be able to see at least 7 of the planets all lined up. So we've got the country lined up, we've got Canada lined up, and we're ready to go with our folks. So just briefly, I'm going to ask each of our panelists today to introduce themselves. My name is Brian White. I am in Dallas, Texas. I'm celebrating this month my 7th year at EXP. In January, we completed our 6th icon. It's been the mentorship, the friendship, the collaboration I've seen with this company over the last 7 years has just been awesome. So, Taylor, can you briefly introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm licensed 7 years now. I'm in Northern California, a little tiny farm town called Wheatland. I've iconed, I don't know, 3 or 4 times. I don't remember now. And I have 5 kids and I have a cattle ranch. That's about me.
Right on. I've got 3 kids, and you absolutely you absolutely crushed me with 5. So congratulations.
It's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. That's awesome. And some cows. Brandon, what do you have going on there in Ontario?
Hey, what's up, guys? Brandon Town, Waterloo, Ontario, Canada. We have currently a ton of snow. But on top of that, iconed 3 times, joined EXP in 2019. I have a beautiful son, Leo, 3-year-old at home, and my wife, Stacy. So just happy to be here, happy to contribute to this amazing company that we have.
Right on. We're glad to have you. Ryan, how's Pennsylvania?
Hey, Pennsylvania is great. I'm out in Northeast Pennsylvania, so Pocono, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre area. I've been with EXP my whole career, actually, and I just hit my 5th icon out of 6 years, and I got my little guy here too. He's going to be 3 next month, and my amazing wife. So,
right on. A couple of actually, it sounds like just about everybody so far probably has a toddler. If Taylor's got 5, Rachel, what about you?
Hey, I'm Rachel Countryman from Southwest Missouri. I have been doing real estate. This is my 2024 was my first full-time year, my 3rd year. I'm going into my 4th year now. Hit icon for the very first time, my first full-time year. And unlike you guys, I've got teenagers, 16 and 13. So pray for me.
Rachel, I feel your pain. I've got 3 boys, and they're 23, 21, and 17. And the middle one's getting married here in about 6 weeks. So our family is growing in different ways. Well, today, so you guys can hear that you're in for a treat. Folks on the panel just have, whether it was first year or many years in the business, have built just tremendous businesses and have great personalities that they're going to share. We want to get started with. So lead generation is a challenge for all of us. But once we've generated leads, then how we manage those and how we make sure that we get the most out of those is a key part of our business. So I'd just like to start with. And we'll go in the same order in this question. I'd just like to start with, what are you guys doing? What systems do you have in place to manage leads and make sure you get the most out of them? Taylor, we'll start with you.
To be honest, I won't lie to you. I'm absolutely horrible at my systems. I fly by the seat of my pants, which is not good advice to anybody listening. I just hired a VA, so that is I'm working on getting him set up with systems so that way I can follow them better. But I always just say fortune is in the follow-up. So if you get a lead, don't forget about them and don't wait for them to call you. You have to call them.
That's good. Brandon?
Yeah, so how we're tracking our leads at the Middletown Property Group is once an inbound lead comes in, we use Follow Up Boss. We've used lots of different softwares in the past. We find that it just works best for our team. Each lead is tagged with a specific tag to how that lead came in. Then we have, of course, our call, text, and video sequence within that. I think it's about 15 steps for that. And then we have an accountability meeting every week to talk about the specific leads, where they are in the pipeline, appointments set, appointments had, contract signed.
Right on. So if you're paying attention so far, we have one end of the spectrum, which is completely fly by the seat of our pants, making sure that everything gets followed up on. But just going forward on the other, it sounds like Brandon has a really tight system. Ryan, what about you?
Man, I'm somewhere right in between there. So when I get a lead in, after I vet them, I'll add them to my hot sheet. So I have a hot sheet, just Apple Notes, checklist, green, red, yellow. If you're in the green, I contact them every day. I go through every single day. Yellow, like I'll make a note next to it, whether it's once a week, once a month, I contact them. And the red is just, cold leads. I am starting to get acclimated with Follow Up Boss, so I will be shifting some gears towards that way. But currently, I just use a hot sheet, and it works. It's simple, it's easy. Do it from any of my devices, so that's kind of how I track and utilize them.
Right on. Thanks, Ryan. Rachel?
I'm feeling like I love this panel. It's so diverse. I myself acquire most of my leads through referrals, like personal referrals, past clients. And then I really dove deep this first year into EXP's offering of their Revenos department and their relocation department. So I think we had about 75% of my business came from those. And once I get those leads, it is time. You have to jump on those, follow up immediately. I found that the quicker I can get those leads looking and kind of minimize the time that they're out there gallivanting around the internet looking at homes, the faster we can get them to close.
That's great. So y'all in the audience, first year full-time, she crushed it using EXP's system in Revenos to generate leads and just made sure she stayed all over them. Myself, I use Follow Up Boss. I'm a solo agent. My wife is refreshing her license this year, and my middle son, the one I mentioned, is getting married, is finishing his license and joining the team. But I have used Follow Up Boss. It's a fantastic system for just organizing things. What I'll say about that though is I've seen people run great businesses with a spreadsheet in their calendar. So whatever it is, just make sure that you've got something that you're following consistently, that you're following that system repeatedly, so that nothing gets dropped. You can literally put the next time you're supposed to call somebody on the calendar. As long as you follow the calendar, that'll end up working for you. So I want to change gears a little bit. So last year had a little bit of change for us in the industry with NAR and the lawsuit. I'd just love to talk to you guys about what are you doing to navigate that? Like, so how have you changed the way you're working with clients, and what does that mean for you? So I'm going to go in the reverse order. Rachel, what about you?
Oh, I'm so glad. Okay, so I actually, when I did full time, I felt like I was running in a circle a lot. So before the NAR thing came out, I started implementing a mandatory retainer fee. And I feel like that has really narrowed down my clients who are just moseying through and the clients who are serious. So honestly, when the NAR system came about, I had already been implementing that the whole time. So it wasn't too big of a change for me. Just kind of going through the newer paperwork and how it was laid out has been like the biggest thing for me.
Ryan, what about you?
So now before I go meet them, we're getting the buyer agency signed prior to the property, and I've been starting with EXP's single agency first, and then build up the rapport on that first, second house, and then signing the exclusive. But as far as business as usual, I mean that's really the only thing I had to change up. Everything else is pretty fluent.
Taylor?
Our market has not really switched over to buyers paying their agents yet. It's still a lot of sellers are compensating us. So I always just reassure my buyers I'm still going to ask the sellers to do it, but we just have to kind of do it backwards and go through the BRBC, through the buyer to the seller. So it's gone well so far. It just takes a little bit more communication and education. But other than that, in my area, sellers we're in a buyer's market right now. So sellers are still paying us, and it hasn't changed other than the fact of a little bit more paperwork and a little bit more education to our clients.
That's the case for us too. We're still getting the question of, hey, what is the BAC and for our listings, and in most cases we're just saying that the seller will consider all terms. So write it into the offer, and the seller will consider it. We'll present it as part of that. So very little has changed in our market. Brendan, I'm super curious. Not familiar with Canada's laws and the potential impact there. Did you guys see significant changes this past year?
Yeah. So how have I navigated the changes of the market over the past 12 months? So we haven't really experienced what you're experiencing in the US as opposed to NAR right now. So I'll kind of take a different approach to it, but I have found that the leaders that are doing the best and having the most success with their teams and businesses over the last 12 months and right now are the ones that are leading by example. So there are so many outside factors that are honestly out of our control. So I always stop and think, what is actually in my control, and put a plan together to tackle them.
That's great. And what a great way to communicate with clients too, right? So the fact that we control what we can control, and that we help them and advise them when things come up that we can't. It's a great way to build trust and just bring some peace in what can be a what can be a chaotic process. The other thing that I've had success explaining to sellers is what a great thing this is. So historically, they might have been tied to an amount regardless of what the sales price was, and this just gives them more flexibility and additional negotiation. So it's been a great conversation, and it's been great. It's been just great for sellers. I'd love to talk to you guys about professional development for a second. So each of you, do you have a coach? If so, why? And if not, what else are you doing? Either way, I guess, what else are you doing to invest in your own development? And anybody who wants to chime in there is great.
I will jump in there and say I have a fantastic upline here in my local area. I have two of the best mentors, and they have literally owned brokerages across the United States. So they come with a vast amount of knowledge. We do like monthly meetings to make sure that my business is on course. And when I'm feeling like I'm drowning, we sit down and make steps to go forward. Like I have a transaction coordinator. I just hired an assistant about 4 months ago to help me with my KV core and streamlining my clients through that process and getting them set up. So definitely look to the upline. That's where I've gotten my best feedback.
That's great advice, and it's great to hear, right? So coach doesn't necessarily have to mean somebody external to the company that you're spending a lot of money on. Coach could be somebody, even a mentor can be somebody that's just ahead of you in the race, and who's kind of been where you want to go. So for those of us in the company looking for someone, you can look to your upline, and for those of you that are attracting and or want to attract, and great advice to be a resource as you bring folks in and to connect them with resources. Anybody else want to comment on coaching?
Yeah, I'll pitch in here. So I've been investing in myself, both personally and professionally, since I got into the business 12 years ago. I believe it's important to always stay a student so you can continue to grow and evolve as a human. I've been to every EXP Con or shareholder summit since joining in 2019. And also too, if I see an event, outside of our company's event that aligns with what my goals are at the time, I will almost always grab a ticket. So, also in my spare time too, or if I'm at the gym or driving between showings or to an appointment, I always have an Audible book on of some kind.
Brandon, when you go to events, what's your goal? What do you hope to get out of them?
It's the people. So I mean, the content's great, right? I'm a note taker too, but it's the people, the proximity. You've heard it before. Proximity is power. It truly is. And so, one of my mentors taught me that early in my career. He said, "Get to events. You're gonna really understand why they're so powerful." And they are. You pull one big thing from an event, and it could be a 3 or 4 day event. And I can honestly go back in time and go to my 5 or 6 top events, and I can pinpoint the people that I've met at that event and have, contributed to a lot of success that I've had in this business. And it could be from a conversation. It's usually outside of the event. It's usually at a networking part of it, in the evening or at lunch or something like that.
So what's great about that, and what's great about what Brandon said, is whether you're traveling for a conference or just going to local events in your market, you can get a ton out of those that's not related necessarily to the content, right? So you can get relationships, you can get potential referral partners, you can get education for, like Rachel was talking about, for somebody that's just ahead of you in the market who has been in the business longer than you have, that might have a great piece of advice. So really the people are as much a part of every event and every conference that you might attend as the content itself. So I just attended a conference in January where I do pay for coaching. And so this conference was part of that. Well, I ended up getting 2 referral relationships out of that. So I got an inbound buyer referral and an outbound buyer referral that between the 2 of those ended up paying for coaching for the year. So when you're actively investing in relationships, it can really, really pay off. Any Taylor or Ryan, anything to add?
I don't have a coach. I have a really good upline as well. So, and I catch all the events. I'm in such a small community that I drive, about 45 minutes to an hour to catch anything decent, but I still make the time to do it. And I always get some sort of golden nugget out of anything I go to.
So we all hit challenges. At some point, we're going to hit a wall. At some point, we're going to hit a problem that we just can't solve, whether that's just a wall in our business or a particular deal that we're struggling with. When that happens, what do you do and where do you go to get help?
I recently had, a huge wall after my icon, and during the month of, I would say, December, January, it got pretty rough. So I had to increase my exposure. And like I said, going back to that Revenos and relocation department, I just expanded the territory that I would normally cover. So I went from covering 2 hours to 3 hours to 4 hour radius. And then, of course, engaging deeply in my local community and within the people who are doing business in and around my area, and seeing who needs what and how I can help them. And that was pretty beneficial as well.
So you hit a wall and then effectively doubled down. So rather than backing off, you just increased your area of opportunity so you could continue to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was beneficial. When I talk to most agents and ask them, what's your coverage area? Most of them say 30 minutes, an hour, depending on if you're really in the rural settings, maybe an hour and a half. But yeah, I exposed myself to a 4 hour radius and just put it into, if I'm going to work an 8 hour day, let's go lock in this contract in one 8 hour day. And that's kind of the mindset I went with.
What I love about that is, all right, you've got goals and your intent, you're going to hit them. So it's not about what is coming against you. It's about you are going to hit your goals, and you're going to find a way to do that, even if that means dramatically expanding your territory. So good for you. Anybody else? When you hit a wall, what do you do to overcome it?
Yeah, I can cover that one too. So whenever I hit a wall or need a reset, I usually go to one of two people. I go to my business partner, who happens to have a background in social working, which is very, very handy in this business, or I go to my coach. We talk about what's going on, why we have hit a wall, what challenges we are facing in real time, and put a plan in place, starting with what we believe is the most important.
It's great. I'll tell you, when I hit a wall, one of the places I go is to the broker room in my state. And when I talk to the brokers, number one, they're typically almost always able to solve my problem, and almost always happy to do so. Always happy to do so. I shouldn't put almost there. The Texas broker team is absolutely phenomenal. I love them. But what's interesting is they talk about, it's the people that a lot of times people are scared to go ask them. They feel like, it's something they should know the answer to, or they're worried about getting embarrassed, when in fact it's the broker team. It's the folks that go and ask the most questions. It's the ones that really leverage their help the most often. That number one, they often have the biggest businesses, but those are also the ones that stay out of trouble because they're not afraid to ask for help. They know when they're out over their, when they're out of their depth. So that ends up being better for them. And honestly, it's better for your clients because, our job is to provide them with expert advice. And if we don't know the answer to a question, then, we owe it to them to find an answer. And our broker teams are absolutely phenomenal. So if that's not a resource that you guys are already leveraging, then it's one I definitely encourage you guys to dive in on.
Can I expand on that for just a second?
Yeah.
One thing I found is, just this being my first full-time year, when I did reach out to those who are in our broker team or, just surrounding me, I was embarrassed that I had hit a wall. And I thought, I am clearly doing something so wrong. But just remembering that they didn't get where they are by not having those walls and not overcoming them. So don't be afraid to ask, because everybody has been through those experiences. And so that was something I had to get over, was my embarrassment of not being able to perform, I guess.
That's great, Rachel. Thank you. So let's talk about AI for a second. That's the that's all the buzz, right? So how are you guys using AI today?
I think my starting AI is just going to be inside our KV Core. That's our CRM system. If anybody's not familiar with that, which I'm sure you are. That's my main one. I'm still trying to dive deeper into how to utilize it efficiently. And then I know it may be taboo, but on a lot of my listings, I do a lot of investment listings. So less than ideal properties. For those, I use the ChatGPT, and we will have it write us a funny or engaging listing marketing presentation on it. And that's one of the fun things that I have found to do with it. It catches more people's attention whenever it's funnier.
It's great. It's one of the best things about AI, right? Is you can change the tone. So you can write something. You can have it write something initially and say, hey, make this funnier, or hey, make this more professional, or, write this for a 5th grade level. Instead of, a lot of times when you read stuff from AI, it sounds like it's a college professor. It's like, no, let's bring this down a little bit so we can make it more readable for more people. Anybody else using AI?
Yeah, I use AI a lot as well. I always tell it to give me for my social media, I'll upload whatever graphic I made, and it'll tell me, please give me a description that's really going to hit my SEO and get engagement. And if you use all those words, it puts in things, and it'll upload emojis and all that. So I use AI for like a lot of my social media descriptions, and I run 3 different businesses. So let me tell you how much easier it is just to pop your graphic in and say, hey, write something for me. And then I just copy and paste it, change the little things here and there. Because sometimes it sounds like I'm in some fancy neighborhood when I'm really just in a little tiny town. So I use ChatGPT as well.
So we use a couple of different things. We use ChatGPT to write just about everything. I would encourage everybody in the audience, if you're intimidated by using AI, to start just by asking Chat to have it ask you questions about your business. So tell it to ask 25 or 50 questions so it can learn about your business. And then that way, once you've answered those questions, everything else it writes is going to sound like you. So it's going to have your brand message. Maybe you're super big in kids' baseball teams, or maybe you're super big in serving or at church or at a particular over 55 community, whatever it is, whatever your target market is. If you answer those questions, then it can go back and write social media posts that sound like you. It can write, blog posts for your KV core site that sound like you. It can write Google business profile posts that sound like you. So just for starters, I would just encourage everybody to ask it to ask those questions, and then you can answer those and build out your socials and your website description and all of the things with that. The other thing that I would tell everybody is to replace. There's an app called Perplexity. And I would tell everybody to remove Google from your phone and replace that with Perplexity. And the reason is that Google has gotten very much saturated with sponsorship and ads and just fuzz, junk. And Perplexity cuts through all that and will give you just the answers to your questions without a lot of other sponsorship information. Anything else, Brandon or Ryan, that you guys have to add on AI?
So I use AI with ChatGPT. Pretty much everything that was already discussed here is what I'm implementing. And I also allocate 15 minutes a day to AI learning, whether it's watching YouTube, finding people through Instagram, and just trying to grow. I don't want to be left behind because AI is fast. It's here. It's not going anywhere. So I don't want to be left behind. So I'm just trying to stay up to date. So every day I'm dedicating 15 minutes minimum, whether I'm at the gym, driving, listening. Super important. I recommend that to everyone.
Same here. Like AI is one of my big rocks or big goals for 2025. One of my big focuses. I truly know very little, but not naive at all to see what's happening in that space and how different the world's going to be in the future. So I've spaced out time each week in my calendar in 2025 to really start learning, understanding, and implementing it into my business and everyday life for that matter.
I think that's great. And so in the audience, what you heard from the last couple of comments, right, is folks that are humble about what they do and what they don't know. And when we don't know, we know that we got to learn. AI is not going to take our job, but somebody using AI will. So we've just got to make sure that we're staying up to date with all the changes that are happening. It's a big deal. So let's talk about business plans for a second. We're wrapping up Q1. So I'd love to know, do you guys spend time building a business plan? And if you do, is it something that you do once and then revisit next year when you have to update it? Or is it something you visit on a regular basis? Is it important to you?
I can hit that if you want. So we have always used a business plan, but it's evolved over time. On the first page, we have our core values, our vision, our purpose, our 5-year BHAG, revenue targets. Page 2, we have our marketing strategy and details of it. And the third page kind of just is the organization of it all and details summed up.
And how often do you revisit it?
So I'm usually looking at that at least once a month, but we revisit it every quarter, and then we create new rocks or goals for that specific quarter. So every quarter we have 3 to 5 things that we're trying to take to completion and implement into the business. And then we check those off, and then we build, and create three to 5 more each quarter. So we're always we have momentum. We're always kind of trekking towards getting things done within the business. So we do that every quarter with our leadership team and our business coach.
So that's great for 2 reasons. Number one, it keeps you on track. But the second thing I heard there, which is fantastic, is you're working on a few things at a time. We've all got a bazillion things that we, quote unquote, need to implement. Oh, we've got to do our website. Oh, we've got to do this lead source. Oh, we've got to do this thing or that thing. And if we try to focus on everything at any one given time, then nothing actually gets done. So it sounds like you've got a great plan to, hey, we're going to focus on implementing these things right now. We're going to make sure that those things get done, and then we'll worry about what needs to come after that. And that helps you stay focused on your long-term plan.
100%. We know how many, how many things we can chase down in this business. We have this bright idea. We start something, we don't take it to completion. So this really helps with that. It helps me anyway. So
squirrel, they'll get you.
Yeah.
Anybody else using a business plan effectively or poorly, and you want to share that?
It's something that I have on my list of things to do, but my business plan is just really started about 4 or 5 months ago. So just trying to keep it all organized.
So I can say that I've built a business plan pretty much every year. This is the first year that I've been aggressive about pulling it up. And part of the reason is because I pull it out and review it with a coach every week. We're checking on our goals. How am I doing versus the goals? And so far in Q1 we'll be ahead of the goals. So what I would say about that is, number one, building a plan is important. So knowing where you're going, building a roadmap for where you want to be is important. But more important than that, at least for me, has been making sure that I keep it in front of me. So Taylor, starting with you, why'd you get into real estate? This is it's a crazy business. Why'd you get in it? You've got you have a ton going on over there. Sounds like a couple of businesses, a lot of kids, cows, all the things. Why'd you get into real estate?
I got it. So, oh boy. I started as a mobile notary. Somebody came to my house and notarized a paper, and I was like, oh, I could do that. I was young mom. I just turned 30 this year. So you got to think I'm 7 years into real estate. So I've been doing it for most of, my adult. I don't really know much else. So I was a notary notarizing loan docs for hours and hours and hours a day. All day I pretty much just sat at the title office, and I was like, you know what? I see all these numbers. I want to be on the other side of it. So I went for it. And right when I got my license, my husband hurt his back at work, and they put him on disability for a few months, and we had young kids. So I was like, all right, well, you stay home with kids, and I'm going to go make this work. And I did. So there was really no, I like to be self-employed. There's that. But I didn't have anybody in my life that did real estate or anything like that. It just started with being a mobile notary, doing loan signings all the time, and then wanting more, and I just went for it.
That's great. So, I mean, it was a financial opportunity. You were already serving people and already engaged in the business, and just saw an opportunity to grow.
Yes. And I've not done, well, I have started another business since then, but other than that, this is my main gig, and this is what I love.
Brandon, what about you?
So we're talking passion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think a lot of real estate professionals out there, I think I'm like a lot of them, where sometimes the passion can come and go. I always have to remember and tie everything back to the people I'm helping, the consumer, of course, put myself in their shoes, in their position, remember how big of a decision they are making. And of course, the hundreds of agents in our organization that rely on me to help grow their business. It just has to be more about you. So you have to have a big enough why in order to continue to run effectively and with passion.
Ryan, why'd you get into the business?
Yeah, so I came over from district manager with Verizon, and man, you ever just wake up and you're like, what am I doing? It was kind of like I had a good job, good career, great schedule, but there was just something else out there for me. If I'm putting in 60, 70 hours, I'm capped on what I can make, capped on who I can help, what I can do. So I needed more freedom. So lo and behold, hurt my ankle. Couldn't put any pressure on it for about 2 months. So I took my real estate test, and the rest is history. Passed it, got with EXP, and just I love helping people. I love whether it's their first investment, fifth investment, first home. Doesn't matter what it is. I love that. I'm able to help a lot of people with that. And also, if I put in 60, 80 hours a week, my bank account shows it. I'm paid what I'm worth. So I love being in real estate.
Rachel?
All right. So I actually worked in emergency medicine for years and years and years. I was doing a few fix and flips, and my realtor, she had retired from emergency medicine, and she looked at me one day and she said, I'm not doing this for you anymore. You're wasting money. Go get your license. So I did. And originally it just started out like one or two for myself. And then when I needed more flexibility in my time for my kids, that's whenever I jumped in full time. I had some life changes go on, and this first full-time year, I just took off running. So I was able to pour in 100% to that. And it has blossomed ever since.
That's awesome. What a great start it's been for you. My story is a little like Ryan in that I had a corporate career. I was a sales director for Dell for many years, but I had 3 boys and was traveling all the time. So I needed some flexibility to so I could spend time at home with the kids. The boys were 14, 12, and 10 at the time. So my wife had gotten started in real estate, and she looked around and said, hey, I think we could create a business out of this. And she recruited me out of a full-time great job with salary and benefits and healthcare and all those things to jump into our business. And it's been a fantastic move, both for us and for our kids. So 9 years in, and super excited about it. Excited about serving in our community. I want to jump into. I promised to ask Michael's question, and I think Rachel probably already gave her answer. So we'll actually start with you, Rachel. Is what's the easiest and/or fastest way to get transactions? So if you're just newly licensed or in your first year and want to really make a splash, or you just need a paycheck, what's the fastest way to go get a deal?
I have always found that calling expireds. So I'll look up the most recent expireds list, and I don't approach them with the aspect of, hey, I want to list your house. I always approach them with the mindset of, what do you think happened, and why do you think your property didn't sell? Trying to find their pain point in that, and then offering up a solution. So our job really is supposed to be a problem solver. And that is usually my quickest way. And then once you get that, in our area, there's different ways that you can market that to potential cash buyers or your sphere of buyers and other agents to help expedite that transaction for them and show your value that way.
Ryan, what about you?
Yeah, this is great. So my first year, I did 37 deals. No book of business. So my strategy, and I tell this to anyone that, new agents that contact me, ask me about it. First and foremost, go to your broker, see what referral programs are out there. I think, I'm trying to remember the one I used. It's a pretty big one. I can't think of it because I haven't used it in 5 years. But I got with the broker. She gave me 2 that currently in Pennsylvania we were using. I got on there. I looked at it as paying to learn. I didn't care. So they did like 35% referrals. So I would do that. Then I also went through our office for EXP, and I looked at the agents that were doing a lot of deals. I reached out to them, introduced myself, and said, hey, if you have any buyers that you don't want to work with, I will give you a 50% referral and I'll close the deal for you. And I closed, I think, 6 or 7 deals like that my first year, just from those phone calls. But I would tell you, go right through EXP. EXP has enough to offer. And then also introduce yourself on Workplace, join your state group, introduce yourself and see what's out there for people. The other cool thing too is if you're trying to get higher end ones, I looked up on the MLS through EXP who had higher listings that were sitting on market and asked if I could host open houses. So I would recommend that as well. Try to get some lead gen up, but I would just grind in those fashions. And then you can always break it down to joining Facebook groups, investment groups to see if there's investors out there that, need help locating properties. You're going to have a lot of, boots on the ground work, the first year. But once you build that up, I'm over 80% the last 4 years. Last year was 78%, but close enough, of referral-based business from past clients, just people knowing who I am from other clients, friends, family. But to build that book of business, I would recommend those couple things first.
That's great. Just briefly on referrals and running such a high referral-based business, do you have a process in place? Do you do something specific to train them or ask them for referrals?
Nothing. I've not ever asked a client one time for a referral. I'm a firm believer. If you go to lunch and you have the best cheesesteak, I can guarantee you when someone brings up lunch or cheesesteak, you're going to say, hey, go to this spot. Same thing with real estate. If you go and provide an all-out service, when someone mentions house, selling, buying, renting, they're going to say, if you did a good job, they're going to automatically reach out and tell you. I'm a firm believer in that. So I just go above and beyond for every transaction. I even do sometimes, like I'll even go and do other agents' side if they have to for like resale certs. I just don't care. I want to get it done. I want to go out there and be efficient. But I just, try to provide the best service possible.
That is never the wrong answer, Ryan. That is never the wrong answer. Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, so if I had to get a deal done quickly or say in the next 30 days, that means we're looking for people that are extremely motivated. I would truly go out and focus solely on open houses. I would try and do 12 open houses that month. I would do 2 every weekend, and I would do 1 during the week. Because people that are out looking at homes, there's some motivation there. They are literally out shopping for properties. And the reason I also like doing 1 during the week, there's far fewer open houses during the week. And therefore, the buyers that are coming into that open house aren't seeing 3 or 4 or 5 other open houses that day. So you have a really good opportunity to speak direct with them for some time.
It's great. Taylor, anything else to add?
No, I think everybody's got on the same page, especially open houses, and then just really involve yourself. Like I involve myself with my kids' sports and school and parties and all that stuff, and that helps get you out there as well. But open houses are what we do mostly around here to generate the most business for someone new.
Yeah, my first 3 deals, I was still working a full-time job, and I hosted a home for an open house. I was able to procure a buyer for that house, and the couple that was buying it ended up having 2 homes to sell. So I was blessed that I got $1.3 million out of the very first open house that I ever held. I'm not saying that's typical, but it does actually happen. So open houses are a fantastic source of buy now business. And if you don't have listings, because many of you don't, right? Be sure to use Workplace, because there are people advertising, at least in our area, there are people advertising all of the time for open houses. What is just as we wrap up, what is your number one source of business for each of you?
I'll go first on that one. Mine is my sphere, for sure. I am really big on just making sure I make many touches. Since I do run so many businesses, I have avenues to touch a little bit more people every day, and I do work really hard on that. I just show what's going on in my life and make sure I'm relatable, and that helps clients feel related and comfortable and all that. But my sphere is my biggest influence on deals, and I just take really good care of them. Birthday gifts, baby announcements, death in the family, I'll send you flowers. I do all of that to make sure they know I'm always thinking of them in the best way. Try not to be sleazy with it. And that's where most of my business circles back from.
And how big is your sphere?
I'm in a little tiny town, so I can't say it's huge, but I do, since I don't know, I have a business in Wheatland and a business the next town up in Marysville. So I cover quite a few counties, and there's so many people that I will be like walking in somewhere and they're like, "Hey, Taylor," and I have no idea who they are. And I feel bad, but they just follow along, or they know my family and know everything because I put it all out there. So I can't put a number on it. I don't have a database that I upload, but my VA is working on it. I'm getting my life together here, folks. I conned this many times and you'd think I'd do it, but not yet. Getting there.
I love it. You're just going out and being generous in the community. It's created a terrific life and income for you.
Yes, for sure.
Brandon, what about you?
Yeah, so same thing. My biggest, opportunity for deals right now would be my sphere of influence. But that's right now, and we trickle in and layer in events during the year. We have our touch points, one a month. I'm always sending birthday cards. So when you've been in the business for a while, obviously you're ultimately trying to build that number up. But for me, it's not as big as some people probably think. I only have about 200 contacts that I keep and manage within my sphere of influence. So you don't need thousands of contacts in there, which is good. But again, too, when you're a new or newer agent, you need to focus on the other things. You need to get out there. You need to door knock. You need to run those open houses. You need to make those lead calls. You need to have a very good nurture and follow-up system. So it depends where you are in the business to what's going to be beneficial to you right now.
So for those that are in the audience, if you have 100 people in your database, roughly at least 6% of those are going to move this year. So 100 people will get you 6 deals. The numbers say that 40% of those people will buy and sell. So working 100 people really, really well should get you 8 or 9 deals out of every 100 people every single year. It's a great way to build a consistent business. You want more deals? Well, get to know more people and add more people to your spheres that you're staying in contact with on a regular basis. Rachel, it looked like you were about to jump in.
Yeah, I was just going to go to that sphere of influence. I struggled growing mine because I didn't want to seem like I was so just asking people. And then I listened to one of our mentors here at EXP, and they said, if you are on group emails, so I would literally take all of my kids' group emails for all of our sports, school emails, anything that I could get my hands on, any single person that would talk to me, I would pour them in to my KV core. And I wouldn't directly market to them, but just doing touch points throughout there. And giving them an opportunity to maybe go onto my website through there and search on a house or find their home's value. And that would really lead me to a way to start a conversation with them to where I didn't have to come across as desperate or needing the business. And then, like I said, most of my business this last year came from the referral source within EXP. And now, just standing here, I got 2 of those previous referrals who are sending me someone they know to work with. So just kind of constantly building that and making sure I'm talking to people.
That's so good. Such a great, if you guys don't already, you should have a Google Workspace email. So that's an email that's not randompersonrealtor@gmail.com, but, or just use your brian.white@exprealty.com email address. I chose to lead various things when I was early in my career, whether it was, coach my kids' soccer team or, being the coordination person for a small group at church. I chose to lead various things partially because I could email everybody with my company email and company signature. So just like Rachel said, that was, a way to subtly include an advertisement for being a realtor without actually having to say that over and over again. So, Ryan, anything to add on the your number one lead source?
Yeah, it's going to be the same. Like the sphere of influence. I usually refer to the people that believe in me, whether it's a past client, a friend, family. I'm pretty blessed in that aspect. A lot of people do believe in my performance or what I do. So I just get random phone calls. I just got a text message this morning from a guy who helped move down to Philly, and he said, "Hey, I have a friend. He wants to get with you this week. To talk about some stuff." So it's just nice. But I would say your sphere of influence, go and perform. Repeat business will come based off your performance. So just go and crush it.
Yeah, just as we wrap up, the action item, if you haven't already, the action item I would give everybody is on a spreadsheet. Make sure you have at least name, address, phone number, email address for at least 100 people. That literally is the least common denominator for building a real estate business. You want that list to be much, much larger than that, but that's a great place to start, and you can build a great foundation on that. So Taylor, Brandon, Ryan, Rachel, thank you so much for doing this today. It's been my pleasure to MC, and Brian, we'll give it back to you, sir. Thanks for having us.
Sure thing. And I want to thank all of you. This has been a fantastic panel today. You all have just rocked it out of the park. We are going to give you all out there in the audience a gift. If you're in an active ICON benefit year, you get a couple of points just for watching the show today. I want to thank everyone for being here. And next week, we're going to have Leanne Parks back as a moderator. So I look forward to seeing you all here every Friday. And if you're watching this on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe so your YouTube